What is destiny? It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and it feels like every person has a slightly different definition of what destiny is to them. And I came to that conclusion last week when I was, going through that whole process of learning, hey, the cancer has spread, and as a result of that, processing everything and just, surrendering to God and just going through that process and then going through the process of explaining everything to my wife so she understood, what this means exactly, my new perspective and my beliefs and everything else. And as we were talking about that, obviously the notion of destiny came up. And to me, what destiny is the dictionary definition. It's something that is predestined to happen to a person or a thing in the future. So it can't be changed. By definition, destiny cannot be changed because if it could be changed, it wouldn't be destiny. So that's kind of my definition of it. I use the dictionary's definition, but my wife has a different definition. She uses the Bible's definition, which implies that destiny can be changed. And that's why, you should pray to God and ask for the things that you want and, pray for a miracle, ask for a miracle, things like that. And then God can go ahead and change your destiny. But to me, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Destiny is, it's fixed. It cannot be changed. It's predestined to happen. So it's like when I was born, God decided exactly everything that would happen in my life. Everything is predestined. That is my destiny. So it can be changed. Whereas her, she was presenting it in a way of you should ask for a miracle. You should pray because then God can change your destiny. And I'm like, but everything's already predestined. Everything's already decided. God knows what's best. He doesn't need to change anything because he already set everything up and everything's in motion and is going to unfold exactly as it's meant to. So it always seemed weird to me, why would you want to change destiny? Because if you want to change destiny, it's like you're implying, well, God was wrong. He chose the wrong destiny. He needs to change it. That just seems strange to me. Now, once again, I'm not trying to disrespect my wife or anyone who believes the same thing or has a different definition of destiny. It was just difficult for me to understand how she views it. Because it seemed like, okay, I have a bad destiny. I need God to change that destiny and make it good because if he doesn't change it, I'm going to die. So, as a result of that, it needs to be changed. That was kind of like her perspective. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense when it comes to my definition of destiny. But also, it just seems negative. It's like, why would I choose to believe that my destiny is bad and needs to be changed? It's like, I choose to believe that destiny is whatever's meant to happen. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it doesn't matter. That is what is meant to happen. That's what God decided was meant to happen to me. It's what's best for me. So even if it's quote unquote bad, it's what's meant to happen. Why would I fight that? Why would I try to change it? Why would I ask God for a miracle to change my destiny when my destiny is by definition what is meant to happen to me? So it was always kind of confusing to me as we had those conversations. And, eventually she sent me a quote from the Bible. And that's when I understood oh, okay, the Bible's definition of destiny is slightly different than the dictionary's definition. So that allowed me to understand why we kind of had different perspectives. And, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether you believe destiny is fixed and cannot be changed and whatever is meant to happen will happen, or whether you believe that it can be changed if, you pray to God or you ask for a miracle or something like that. It's fine. At the end of the day, whatever is meant to happen is going to happen, and that's it. Whether it had to be changed or not doesn't really affect the outcome that much. But it was just interesting because to me, destiny was always this thing. It's always either there's free will or there's destiny. But my wife's definition, and apparently from what I understood, the Bible's definition, can be changed. It's okay, destiny is not necessarily fixed. It's that's what's destined to happen to me at the moment, but that can change. which is kind of interesting in a way, because I mean it depends on your belief. Because there is a certain degree of, I don't know, there's a certain degree of comfort that comes with the belief that destiny is going to happen no matter what. It's what's destined to happen. You can't do anything to change it. Just accept life and trust that whatever happens is for the best. There's a certain degree of, of just peace that comes with that. On the other hand, if you believe that destiny can be changed, well, then it's like, well, okay, if it seems like you're heading in a really bad direction, such as having very intense form of cancer that should, according to doctors, kill you, well, then believing, hey, destiny can be changed is actually a really positive thing because it's like, well, that's what I was destined to, but I can change my destiny. I can ask God and He can go ahead and alter that. So it's like, okay, there's also power and, happiness or whatever like that comes from that. So it's just two different ways of seeing things. And I'm sure there's probably other definitions of destiny that people have that are slightly different. But it's just like, that's the thing about destiny and most things in life. It's really subjective. It comes down to what you believe, and what you believe will affect how you interact with the world. So, as I went through that process of surrendering to God and just be like, hey, the events that unfold in my life are not up to me. It's up, it's God who decided what was going to happen. And whatever's meant to happen is my destiny. It's for the best. So I'm going to accept whatever ends up happening. And it's like, that was my perspective. But it's nice to have another person's perspective because it's like, it gives you back in a way like a sense of control, which in my case is not necessarily good because I spent most of my life trying to maintain control and refusing to surrender it. And that ended up hindering me. So in my case, it's not necessarily a good thing to have more control, but it's nice. Like it's a nice reminder to have that of sure, you can't really control things, but you do have a certain amount of control. Like from my perspective, it's like not on the huge things, not on the major events in your life, but it's like, yeah, you do have control on how you react to those events, how you feel about them, how you think of the future. Are you going to be positive? Are you going to be negative? It's probably not going to change the outcome, but it will change how you feel every day. So if you're negative all the time, always imagining the worst case scenario, even if it doesn't happen, your life is going to be less pleasant because you're always in that state of fear and worry and expecting the worst to happen. Whereas if you're positive and you imagine all the amazing things that will happen to you, well, okay, maybe you're wrong. Maybe they won't all happen, but it just makes life more enjoyable. So it's like there is a certain degree of, power that comes from having that, well, power. I know it sounds redundant to use the same word twice, but it's just like, yeah, it can kind of give you a sense of peace of like, oh, well, okay, I don't control the big things, but I do control the small things. And by being positive, even though it won't change the big things, well, it's still fun. It still makes life more enjoyable. It makes it more, pleasant. So anyway, I'm not sure if this made a ton of sense. I was trying to explain it as best as I can. And I feel like I kind of rambled and went in a few different directions, but hopefully you understand the gist of what I'm saying, which is, surrender as much as you can, but still maintain enough control to be able to be positive and to enjoy life as much as you can. That's basically the gist of what I was trying to say, I think. But at the end of the day, that's the thing. It's like, just like my interpretation, my definition of destiny is different than my wife's, and probably than a lot of other people. Well, your interpretation of what I just shared in this video, well, it's up to you. So you get to decide what you want to get from it, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether it's just entertainment. At the end of the day, it's really up to you and how you want to interact with it. So on that probably confusing philosophical level. Let me end the video here. Once again, I'm just going to mention I am going to go to my sister's tomorrow. So there's probably going to be a few days between now and the new year where I don't post any videos. I just want to spend time with family and enjoy myself and, not put any added pressure on myself. So yeah, we'll see how things go. I'll talk to you at some point in the future, whether it's this year or next year. But either way, have an awesome holidays, and I'll talk to you at some point.